Okay, I'm broadcasting in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can all hear me. I want to thank you so much for finding time to attend today's tutorial. Basically, as you are all aware, the judiciary will be rolling out the online, the e-filing platform beginning the 1st of July. And so it basically means that for all courts within Nairobi, all the pleadings would have to be filed online. And that is for both the civil and criminal courts that are within Nairobi. We felt that it is important before we get to that rollout that we do have this training so that you can get to appreciate how the system operates. And basically what we'll be looking at is how to file your pleadings, how to serve and obtain this summons to enter appearance, how to serve them, and how to respond after you have been served. Also, we'll be looking at how you do your correspondences with the court, how you file on existing matters. So it's quite an elaborate tutorial. It will be conducted by an ICT officer from the judiciary. You also have the director of ICT from the judiciary. And because we are running short of time and we want to make a maximum usage of the time that is available, I want to first welcome the CM of the Milimani Commercial Court. This is the court which will most likely have the highest traffic as it has been. We've had quite a bit of challenges right now, and we believe that when this system is up and running, that the court that will be greatly impacted by the e-filing platform would be the Chief Magistrate Court at Milimani. So we want to welcome the CM Milimani to make a few remarks and just let us know how prepared the court is to receive this system. And then we will invite the Deputy Registrar, in the side of the commercial, the High Court Commercial and Tax Division, to make a few comments and introduce the team from the judiciary, which will then take us through the presentations. What we are proposing to do is to have about two presentations, and then we take a few questions. So we will have a bit of some breaks so that it is not a monologue. We intend this to be as participatory as possible so that then any questions or concerns that we do have, primarily on the system and from the presentation that would be made to us, we can be able to get them answered. So without further ado, I want to invite the CM Milimani, Honorable Geshare. Kindly just unmute your mic and make a few remarks. Thank you.
Kindly, Eric, if the Honorable Chief Magistrate could raise her hand, because I think she's coming on as a participant.
All right, I can see we have about 520 participants as it is. So Honorable Geshare, kindly just raise up your hand so that we are able to identify you.
And allow her to speak.
Then we can give you the whatever to speak, kindly. Maybe to save on time, have you been able to choose her?
No, I wouldn't know the name she's logged on by.
What we do, we could have the Honorable Tanui make some comments as I'm trying to trace on the other side so that we save on time.
Absolutely.
Yes, good morning all. It is an exciting journey for us. Thank you, Mr. Theuri, for hosting us in this program. Honorable Liz Gisha should be somewhere. I would rather she makes the remarks. She's my senior. But I want to say that it is a great journey for all of us. We have piloted the e-filing system at the Commercial and Tax Division. The baby was conceived and placed to us to nurture it. We all know the frustrations we go through together and even the achievements, which are many. The frustrations and difficulties have also been many, but the journey has been exciting, and we look forward to 1st of July. I know Honorable Gisha will be making more remarks on that. Have you been able to locate her? Yes, thank you. So I think let's do the training. Thank you. Joining me is from the judiciary is the director, Mr. Steve Ikeleng. Mr. Steve Ikeleng has his own team. We will also be joined by Barbara Clay, who is from the IDLO. IDLO has been a partner, a supportive partner with us. So I will hand over back to you, Mr. Theuri. Thank you.
Ikeleng, you could make a few remarks and start us off.
Thank you very much, Mr. Theuri. It is good to be here, and we are going to take you through the journey that you'll expect while filing at the judiciary. So we are going to do a step-by-step tutorial just to highlight how somebody is supposed to file, how you're expected to make payments, how to file for existing cases, and also how to correspond with the judiciary. So the presentation will be interactive so that you're able to see the expectations of the system, and also will like to hear feedback from you so that we're able to make a better solution for all the litigants and the LSK in general. So I think I will leave it at that. Theuri, do we start immediately?
Ikeleng, I think we have the CM on whatever. I was trying to get the CM. I think, let me just try and see if we can get her. I think she's having a bit of challenge to come on board. So what I would suggest is that you start with your presentation, and then when we finally trace her in a minute or two, we could just give her that opportunity to say something, and then we continue, because we're also running a bit of time, behind time.
So as Mr. Ikeleng sets up the presentation, I would ask Barbara Clay to give a few remarks. Barbara.
Thank you, Honorable Tanui. Good morning, Law Society members. It's a pleasure to have you with us on this webinar. We look forward to hearing from you what you believe your experience will be with the e-filing processes, as we think that this will ease your practice matters and even make practice more enjoyable. That's it from me. Thank you very much.
Chair, do we proceed?
Yes, let's just proceed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just give an overview, and then hand it over to Chelule to do the presentation. So in terms of what we'll be covering today, we are going to highlight how to access the e-filing platform, how to create your account, how to manage your passwords, and how to access, and also how to access the correspondence in the system. Then in terms of the step-by-step filing, we are going to show you 2 ways of filing a case. And the first will be filing a new case, where you'll be required to file all the details that include the parties, the documents, the assessment, then the payment. Then you'll get your case numbers. You'll also be able to, you'll be shown how to get acknowledgement from the registry, how to perform electronic service, and finally, how respondent filing will be done. So that is the first scenario. The second scenario we're going to show you is also how to initiate existing cases. In filing for existing cases, we will need to link the cases that currently exist in the judiciary to your respective accounts. So we will need to ensure all the parties are correctly captured for the existing cases. We'll also need to ensure that the case details are updated and also link all other parties to that specific case. Then also we'll show you the payments for that. So that is actually the summary of the entire demonstration that we're going to do today. And we have Mr. Chelule Maina, who will now take you through the steps that I've just highlighted. Thank you. Chelule, you can proceed.
So good morning, everybody. Basically, I'll do a presentation, so I'll be sharing a screen. I'll be more of practicals. This will be more of a practical session. So basically, this is what we call the e-filing portal. Probably I can give the overview of what the infrastructure looks like. So we have the e-filing portal that is meant for the public. We also have an internal system that is called case tracking system that is linked to the e-filing. We also have what we call the JFMIS, that is a Judiciary Finance Management System that is used to manage all the court fees, deposits, and all the fines. So the e-filing is meant for the public, and the public will be interacting with the e-filing. For the internal users, they will be interacting with what we call the case tracking system. I'll be showing you a brief overview. Then the finance system is meant for the accounts. So basically, this is the e-filing bit. So all litigants will be required to have an account to access the e-filing through the e-filing.co.go.ke. And every time you come to the account, you have to have registered. And there are several steps of registering and acquiring an account. So there are 3 target group that we are targeting. The first group is the law firms and advocates. The second category is the organization, and finally an individual, someone who will come on his own to file a case, not necessarily through a law firm. Then we have organization. So to create an account, basically you normally go, there's a button here called sign up. The sign up button allows you to create an account. We are trying to link with the eCitizen so that we can collect all the information and make the sign up process as simple as possible. There are around four steps in creating an account. That is, you enter the details. For example, the law firm would give us their registration number. Then they will give us the law firm name, for example. And then they will give us an email and phone numbers. Email and phone numbers are very important in correspondences because we'll be sending information to the law firm either through SMS or through email. For example, I'll try to be as so the phone number 7280. So the phone number must be unique. If you realize that a phone number exists, then therefore you'll have to call the register team to activate your account because it means that you're already registered. So I'll try to make it as unique so that we proceed. Yeah. So seems all this seems to be registered. So basically, let me just try to create an. Seems I have a problem with the phone numbers. I'll just show you with an individual or an organization. For example, KRA may want to register.
Ikeling, in the meantime, you could be looking at the questions that are coming in and see if there are any which you can respond to as we are also going through this.
Okay, thanks.
Especially those that are related to the presentation that we are making.
So sorry for that. So the next step is we normally collect the addresses. This is basically for services, for effecting services. So we'll say 7 Nairobi, then Upper Hill, and then the alternative number when the other one is not available. Can use that one. So basically what we normally have is once you capture the contacts details, you'll input the login details, and finally you'll submit, and you'll get an email address with the link to activate the account. So once you activate the account, then you'll have a login link that will allow you now to log in. But since this is a live environment, I'll now shift to our training environment so that we can do an end-to-end training. So everybody must log in, and then once you log in, you land into a dashboard. The dashboard will contain a number of information elements. For example, you'll have a dashboard with all the cases, a list of all the cases that you filed in various stations. Then you have a list of all the payments that you have. And at the top here, you'll be able to identify the type of the account. Then there's a link here that allows you to change. For example, if some of the information were captured wrongly, you are able to update, particularly the phone number and the email address. And this way, again, you are able to change the password or change the email address. And then now we have the correspondence, which I'll be talking about later. So maybe you can start with how do you do an electronic filing? There are two ways of doing an electronic filing. Either file a new case or an existing, or you file documents to an existing case. So we'll start with the first one. So when you are filing, you have to define where are you filing this. So you have to specify the station you are filing. So currently we have enabled all the Nairobi stations, starting with the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, High Courts, including the tribunals. So I'll pick one Milimani, High Court, then we'll come to the Court of Appeal, we see the difference. So there are stations that have what we call court divisions. For example, Milimani High Court has 7 divisions. And then we have what we call case categories. And now case subtypes. The reason we added this one is because we have in family matters, there are subcategories. That's why we added a subcategory to handle the P&A matters. So during filing process, there are around 5 stages that you have to go through during filing. The first one, you have to define what we call the case parties. And let me just clear everything so that we start afresh. So you add a party through this button here, and you can only file, since most of this is filed is civil matters, you only add either an individual or an organization. For the account of the DPP, they will have the criminal element, so that they will have another option whereby they will choose. There will be 3 options here. Because when you are filing, you need to specify the state and this other government organization or the AG. So you define the level of the party. Then you specify that it's a plaintiff. Then you have the ID. So every time you load that, they will tell you this party exists. So you can basically pick from an existing list and add it direct. But what sometimes they are not there, and you have to so every time you check, this one will be pre-populated, and you are not allowed to edit, since this is an information that we picked from the population registry. So what you only need is the phone number, and then the email. This one was David Gmail. So realize that this one exists. So since it's a new person, we'll just try to make the email. So every time you add and you realize that it is picking the plaintiff, and you are not allowed to move to the next step until you define the other party. You normally have the initiators and the respondents. So these are the initiators. They're able to initiate a case. So we normally define them at this point. So all these, we have initiators and respondents. For example, if I'm supposed to pick a respondent, you see, not necessarily, I may not have the phone numbers of the person I'm suing. That is why I'm allowed to proceed without filling the ID number. But for the person I represent, I know the person, then I should get the phone number and the email address. But if you go this option, then when you are filing for responding, then you'll be required to provide this. We'll come to that. So let's assume. So I have 3 parties, so I can proceed to the next step. So you realize that it has created a citation for me based on the first 2 plaintiff and the respondent. Since this is a commercial matter, we have to specify the value of the case. So we can say 3 million. And then now this is where now you define what we call prayers or summary of the case. For example, say so you realize that at the moment, for High Court, we are allowed up to a minimum of 20 million. That's when now you go to the jurisdiction of the High Court. Anything less than that is normally goes to the lower court. So we have to specify a greater amount. Yeah. So we are now in the step of defining what types of document do we have that we'll be submitting. This is what we normally call the list of documents. So I have a plaint, remember, it's speaking the amount for me. Liquidated plaint. Then I have maybe 2 prayers, 1 prayer, and then we proceed. So maybe I also have annexures. So you can add this list, and you realize that when you are adding this, it's doing the court fees for you, it's calculating doing auto assessment for you. So let's assume we have those 2 documents. So the next step now is to upload the documents. The reason we separated these 2 is that we realized that someone would upload a whole document containing plaints, annexures as one, and upload as a plaint. So that's why we had to separate, so that now you define each document individually. So I'll pick a document from the list that I have. Yeah, I'll use that one for example. So as you upload, the status changes now to allow you to delete. But for now, we assume the documents are okay. I'll pick a different one. So we have our 2 documents with the assessment amounts. So this is the last step now. You confirm everything to be okay. The documents are there, the summary of the case, and then you submit. So this one will generate a new filing, but without a case number. So at the moment, Judiciary will be expecting that you will be paying for this case, and then you'll get a new case number so that you can now start the other processes of e-service, requesting for e-service. You give the other party so that they can do a response. So at this point, we've generated what we call a payment reference that you normally use in the bank. So at this point, you'll realize that we have a button here that allows you to pay directly. So let me click on it so that we see what it has. So there are about 3 methods that you can use to pay. You can go to the KCB and pay over the teller, or use KCB Mtaani, and that is the option here. So what you only need to do is go with this code, you give it to the cashier, and they will be able to process payment directly, and the payment will come to the judiciary, and the case number will be generated automatically. Similar to this one, you'll follow this step, go to the M-Pesa, use this pay bill, and then go all the way and pay. So the reason we introduced this one is to allow those bulk payments. Sometimes you are allowed to pay more than M-Pesa can allow, so that's why we have that option. Then we have the new option that you can just have your phone number, and so once you pay, sorry, this is an invalid, okay. So immediately this one happens, you'll be able to get a pop-up on your screen that allows you now to enter the PIN and accept payment, proceed. Sorry, I have no insufficient balance. So this one is able to guide you on what is happening so that you just pay directly in the comfort of your office. So immediately you pay, then the status of the case changes from not fully paid to fully paid. And at the same time, a case number is generated so that now you are now able to start now the other process of e-service. So that was the first step of filing for a new case. What happens when you want to file additional documents to an existing case, an old case that is already in the judiciary, it's ongoing, you've been asked to file documents? So there are two options of doing that. There is this option here whereby you can just click on this link and then it will open what we call case details. This option here allows you to manage a case from your office so that you can see what parties are participating, what is the status of the case. For example, this one was registered and it was actioned to. Probably this was a certificate of urgency. That's why it was immediately registered and forwarded. And then we have the documents. So this page here is very important, and this is where now you will interact with the e-filing system mostly. Let me just remove this so that I can show you how to. So let's try and see what happens when you are filing additional documents. Already, we know you are filing on this case, and this case exists. It has all the parties, and now you can use this tab here to file additional documents. So what you will do is just select who are you filing on behalf. Since I was representing Gulf Energy, I'll just pick Gulf, and then I'll choose I'm filing an affidavit or something, or supplementary affidavit. Then I'll choose so assuming that was my affidavit, then I'll submit. I can add as many documents and then now submit and pay. This one will now generate a new reference to allow you again now to go and pay. So realize that we submitted what we call an affidavit, and it's 75 shillings. So you can just initiate payment at this point, proceed with the payments. So this one will bring in a pop-up on the screen. But since I don't want to pay, I'll just cancel the same. So this one now will indicate that the transaction was canceled, so that now we are able to know. So I canceled that, so that's why it's, but once you issue the PIN and the money is deducted, this money will come direct to the judiciary and it will go to the accounts team so that you can now get a receipt. Okay, you can even download the invoice if you want to use this through the bank. You can pick this and download the same. So that is the first option. So what happens to those cases that are not registered? Mr. Ikle mentioned that we have cases that are as old and they are not in the system. So we have an option here that allows you to search. For example, you know my case is in a Court of Appeal, Nairobi, and you have a file, whether respondent or the plaintiff or petitioner. So you know your case was number 1, 2020. So the case is already registered. But now remember, Chelule Minor does not represent any of these parties. So what would happen? Here, we allowed the law firm to request to be mapped to the party so that they are able to file documents on behalf of the party. So we'll just click request, give the email address, the valid phone number, the ID number, and for the purpose of verification and validation that not everybody is mapped to a case, you will be required to upload the initial case, the initial file, scanned copy of the original file. This one will allow the registry team to verify that actually the person requesting or the law firm requesting to be mapped to this case actually owns the case as one of the litigants or as a representation of an existing party. So this is option number 1, whereby all the parties are there, but the law firm is not indicated as representing any of the party. Let me show you option 2. Option 2 is similar to that, so I'll pick something like, but I'll go to the commercial division. So this is a situation whereby a case does not exist in the system completely. So what the law firm will do, they will request for registration. And what will happen is that the case will follow the normal process of registering. You do the parties, you do the citation, you upload the documents, you map all the parties, and now the registry team, I'll be showing you in a moment. So that is option number 2. Option number 3 is where we have a case but has no parties at all. Yeah, this is a case that has already exists, but has no party. So what normally happens is that we allow the law firm to add the parties and then upload the document that they have so that the registry team will pick the documents and confirm that actually the person requesting represents the party. So once you do that and the case is registered, then now you'll come to an existing case. For example, once approved, you will be able to see something like, sorry. yes, you'll be able to see something like this. You'll realize that we have this party, the law firm, then the other party, and so this is the third option, whereby now a case exists. So you just search, and now the link here is supposed to be active. Let me look for another one. In fact, let me go to the home page so that we pick a case that is already mapped to the user. Yeah, you see now the link is active. So this one now allows you to click the link and take the normal pipeline of the case, whereby someone comes, file additional documents, or just access these documents, pay, list all the previous payments. So at a glance, a law firm will be able to know that this case has costed me this much by just looking at the case number and the amount that has been paid. There are also the list of invoices, the balances. You'll be able to see all this information in this, what we call the case summary page. Okay, so let me now go back now to what we call e-service bit. So the e-service is an option whereby law firms will be able to request. You submit that you want to you want to serve the other party. What you do is you normally come and request for e-service. And since we have both plaintiff and the respondent, you have to specify. Remember that this is my account as a law firm. So this is my account. I represent John. So the information is pre-filled. The other party, we need to specify. How are we serving? Is it through email, through process server, or through other law firms? So if you specify through the law firm, then you have to give us the phone number and the email address. For example, I'll choose for, since we are testing, I'll say testing 2020 at then the phone number that will be used to contact this law firm. So what normally happens is now you search the law firm. Most of them do exist in the system, they are registered. So we'll pick the one that we know. So I'll pick this one. And every time you finalize the process of service, an email address will be sent, the email specified, and to the law firm. And this will be accompanied with an SMS alerting them that there's an information that have been sent to the email, log into the account and take action, for example. So we'll go to the next step. So this is the document that I intend to serve. And these are my parties. By default, we are sending the same document to the plaintiff, but the most important is the respondent. And then you submit. So the registry team, this has been forwarded to the registry team, will follow up using the message tab. So once you do that, there is this option here whereby we list all the messages. So all these messages are categorized. We have the normal information or general information. Then we have service, invoices. So at the moment we are interested with the e-service, so we filter them. So we have this one here. So what happens when you submit a document for e-service? They will check the correctness of the filing, including pleadings. Is the document readable? Is it password protected? Or did you upload the correct documents? The next thing they will check is the court fees. Was the court fees paid fully or not? And then the standards of documents. We only allow a PDF at the moment because we don't want a document that can be edited. So we are insisting that we submit PDF documents as opposed to the Word documents. So once this is submitted, it will be forwarded to the registry team. Let me now show you a brief overview of what we have in the registry. So I'll log out. This is what we call a case tracking system. So I'll log in as one of the clerks. And in the messaging section, you will see we have quite a number of information that has been sent. So we have this one that we just sent. And this court clerk now will be able now to review this document, confirm that the parties were correctly uploaded. We have the information, the law firm is set, and then go to the next step, assuming that the information here is not correct. They will be able to request for more information from the person who submitted this, and they will give a reason. Misfiling. Sometimes someone would file a document in the High Court as opposed to the lower court. So this will be sent back to the client or to the law firm or to the person who submitted for the request. So go to the next step. They will confirm the document and the amount that was paid. And if the amount was not correctly paid, then we have, was there an over-assessment? Then they will issue a credit note. Was there an under-assessment? Then they will issue a debit note, which now will require you to go again and pay, because this will generate a new payment advice. And then they will give an explanation to you so that you know the reason. And the next step is now confirm the document that will be shared. We'll have a list of documents. Then the summon to enter appearance. The most important one is the respondent. This one is just for information. And then you approve. Then the request will be forwarded now to the DR for purposes of now generating the summons. So try to log out. So the DR will be able to look at this account and go to the correspondence page, be able to get this list. And now the DR will be able again to review the documents that has been submitted by the registrar team, check the documents, generate summons for each, and then approve. So this request now will be again sent back to the client with a link to share with the other parties so that they can initiate what we call a e-response. Let me look at it. Yes, it's there. You see, there's a new link here that now will share this with the other advocate, for example. Let me open a new tab and try to log in. So every time you create an account, you have to update the phone number and the email address. This is important because of this. You realize there's a lot of correspondence between judiciary, the party, and the respondent. So what do we realize here? Realize that immediately I am required to file a response. And already it is coming in as I now represent this. I'm logged in as Cellular Minor at company. I am now doing a response. I am not supposed to change anything with regard to the parties, unless now I want to change the details of the person I represent. That's the only point I have an option to edit. The rest is static as it is. The next bit is now where now you specify the documents, you represent a party that you upload, then it will take the normal step of filing. For example, now we can do what we call counterclaim. So, yeah, so you can create counterclaims, and then now you'll be able now to submit this, and you'll have done a response. Then again, now you start the process of e-service, you serve the other party. So the loop continues all the way until the case comes to an end. Yes. I don't know whether there's anything else, Bana Director.
You've completed?
Yes, I've completed the steps.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe Eric can guide us on the next session.
Thank you, Maina. Thank you, Director. I think I've seen quite a number of questions that have been posted on the chat, and I've noticed that as the event has been going on, those questions are being answered. The challenge that we've been having is that I've noticed that we have had quite a number of questions with regard to the phone numbers. And I think Maina and Ikeling, if you could respond to that, because there appear to be people who wanted to register and found that their phone numbers have been registered. And the other thing also, which quite didn't come out, is that if you are filing a case against a plaintiff, for example, in a civil case, must you have the ID number of the plaintiff? What if you don't have that ID number? So I think we could respond to that, and we also look at the questions which have been posted on the chat, mostly in regard to the presentation that you have made, and respond to some of those questions as they have come.
Okay, so the first one was on on the numbers that have already been registered. What we know is that also in the registry, we have been pulling out phone numbers from the system, from the files, from the manual files, and using them to update the system. That's why you'll see some numbers are not accepting. But what we will do is that we will be able to reset all those numbers for the purpose of everyone validating afresh so that you can log into the system. Then number 2, on ID numbers, the system requires that we provide ID numbers, and in case it is not available, we will be at a minimum requesting to have the email address and the phone number to be mandatory. Because the challenge we have is that if you don't validate the ID number, the challenges we'll face is that we will not be able to verify that this person actually exists. So I think we will look into it so that we have a combination of the email and the phone number as the secondary mandatory identification details. Thank you.
That's fine, Nikolek, but in the event that somebody does not have either all of those details,
yes,
is there a way that a case can be registered so that after it has been served, then the respondent would, as they key in to respond, would then put in their correct details?
Actually, what we've experienced with not collecting those 3 details, we have been getting very unclean data. So maybe at a minimum, one of those 3 must be there to help us have clean information in the system. So either, because we also need to contact the party, because if we miss just one, the e-service cycle will not be possible. So that is the reason. So at a minimum, maybe we can consider either the phone number or the email address. One of them has to be mandatory for the cycle to be complete.
Ikeling, I've also seen a question with regard to the phone numbers, and I think this is perhaps important for the advocates. Where there is a law firm, for example, as a partnership, would you advise that they then get a different number registered for that law firm so that then we are not using the individual numbers of the partnerships? Because in the event there is a breakup, and I don't know how you'll be dealing with those things, that there was a firm, it was either broken up, so the partners have gone separate ways. They need to come into the system and separate their cases. So you have those mechanisms for allowing that sort of thing. And what would be the advice? Do you think that it is advisable to use the individual numbers, or all law firms should now go and register a number that can be associated with the business?
Actually, that is one area that actually needs further discussion. But what we have seen, for example, if it's possible that the law firm provides the number when signing up to the judiciary, they provide the number of either of the partners, so that is the number we use for the account. And just like you highlighted, in case there is a split, one of the key things that we'll actually need to know as the court is what do we do with those cases. So it will be important that for us, we will need to initiate a process of even splitting that account, and how the application of now moving the cases to, I don't know which firm. So that is a very detailed discussion that needs to be done and I don't think we can conclude here. But my recommendation for the account number, I will suggest that either of the parties or the advocates in the firm to indicate the number. Because remember, once you log in again to the law firm account, you can create multiple advocates, clerks, and they'll all be required to provide the respective numbers. So the most important number is actually the numbers that you'll be assigning in the system for different cases. But for the main account, I'll suggest that one of the partners gives the number.
I've also seen a question on, and I don't know whether this is coming or it has already been, should have been covered in your presentation on change of advocates. How do we finalize change of advocates? And also on payments, whether the system can be used to pay fines and the cash bail when it comes to criminal cases. And
yes, continue.
And for those civil cases where we are seeking damages, and perhaps there are no special damages, how do we put in the value of the court case? Because sometimes we only find the value of the matter after the court has awarded damages.
So for change of advocate, it will follow the normal process that they will seek an order to have that change effected. So it has to be done through a request to the court, then it is effected by the court in the system. So that is the proposed model. The last question you asked, I think either Honorable Tanui can guide us on that issue of damages. But for your second question was on payment of fines and bail. The system has a feature to also initiate that. It is actually initiated through the platform, both internally and in a case tracking system.
Mr. Teuri, if you can ask the question on damages again. I was busy typing in an answer to a question. I failed to take note of it.
It's okay, Your Honor. I was asking when it comes to indicating the value of the claim during the registration process, where we are seeking for assessment of damages and we do not have special damages. How do you indicate the value of the subject matter?
Actually, that has formed a number of the subject of a number of questions here, and I wish Mr. Chelule would demonstrate how you file a claim which is not a liquidated claim, because what he demonstrated were claims which are liquidated. Mr. Chelule,
Yes,
can you do that?
That would help a lot.
Hello, can you hear me?
Proceed.
So, Mr. Chelule, you are proceed. Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you. So filing an unliquidated claim follows the same process, only that it depends on the document you are picking. For example, we pick the commercial division. So let me quickly add parties. Then the phone number, but you can just proceed without that. So this one is 0. So, let's say 1. Add another party. So this is where you define the type of the document you are filing. See, for an unliquidated plain, it is 1500. So this is the question you're asking?
Yes, that was the question. So then you just proceed to upload, isn't it, the document?
Yes, you proceed to upload, then you'll be charged 1500. But
So
at the end of the case, then at the end of the case, you will have to recalculate again, and based on the awarded amount, then you'll get the value and then pay the balance.
Okay, so that is a demonstration of a liquidated claim. There is also a question based on bulky documents. Can you explain how people would file bulky documents, especially when you're dealing with over 2,000 pages of documents, for instance, with annexures?
I think Mr. Ikilang would be able to explain that, because there is a standard of uploading. Mr. Ikilang.
Yes. For documents, the maximum that we've set is 50 MB. And for a 50 MB document, we are estimating that will take up to 2,500 pages, depending on how we scan. So one of the key things that we need to appreciate as we convert our documents for the purpose of uploading is that the scanning that we do, one of the first things is to avoid scanning in color and also scanning at a resolution that is at around 300, something called 300 dpi. So we will give you a guideline of how to ensure that your bulky documents are scanned and maintain the 50 MB limit and still be able to upload over 2,000 page document. Because we will also, you will also need to have, there are tools online that can compress these documents so that we're able to upload 2,000 pages within 50 MB limit. So that is part of the guidelines that we'll share with your teams to be able to achieve that for filing.
Mr. Ikeleng, while you're on that, can people send letters, for instance, to the deputy registrar or just to the registry using this system without having to do them through email? Can this system accept, or will it attract a payment? Can you explain how correspondences will be dealt with using this system?
Okay, in the Chele can demonstrate, I think we can go to the correspondence page to see where you can upload a letter and send to the registry. So Chelule, explain.
Currently, we don't have whereby someone can upload, but you can have, you cannot include an attachment at this point, so that now they are able to upload based on an existing correspondence. Currently, we don't have an attachment, but it's something that we can add here based on the reply, so that anytime you reply, you can send an attachment.
So what you're saying is that they cannot send correspondences
Yes,
without,
at the moment,
now.
not yet, but it's something we can work on over the weekend before first.
Okay. All right. Can you explain what you have done to improve this system in respect to certificates of urgency? We've had instances at the Commercial and Tax Division where litigants file documents, but they also file certificates of urgency, but we don't realize that they've done that until they call us and ask us, so what is it, what directions were given, and then we only realize later that there was a filing of an application under certificate of urgency. What we know is that you have improved the system and we are able now to see once an application has been filed under certificate. Please show us.
So maybe probably I'll need a live demonstration.
Please do.
So every time you file a case, there is this notification, all the cases will be listed here. So I'm trying to look for one. Yeah, here they are.
See what?
So at this point, any certificate of urgency that is filed and paid, we have what we call the auto allocation. It is normally allocated to the duty judge. So once you pay and the case number is generated and it's a certificate of urgency, it's automatically allocated to the duty judge, and an email again is sent to the judge as a notification.
So Chelule, how does the system recognize that it is a certificate of urgency?
When you are filing, you normally specify that this is a certificate of urgency. There's a document you attach called certificate of urgency when you are filing. All uploads, you remember the place whereby I was picking the document, the list of documents. There's a certificate of urgency. I don't know whether I can quickly go there. So every time you submit a document and there is this certificate of urgency anywhere attached, submitted alongside the other documents, then we forward this document. We do an auto allocation to the duty judge on that day based on this one. So this is how we are able to identify that this is a certificate. Mr. Deuri?
All right, that explains it.
Mr. Theuri, and I think your members, this has been a great improvement to the system. What has been happening is that unless advocates call us, we wouldn't know that they had filed a certificate of urgency within the files that they have uploaded into the system. So we would usually then send them to us through email, which has been very tedious and has caused a lot of frustrations to the members of LSK and also the other litigants. So for this now, I can see from my dashboard, wherever I'm seated, that there is a suit which has been filed, and that suit has a certificate of urgency, and the judge on duty will be able to see that immediately that it has been filed. So this will be the improvement that you will be seeing going forward, and we are excited about that improvement in the system. Thank you.
It's a very good feature. I think it will go a long way in assisting the processes to be much more efficient. We are running out of time because we have another seminar that is scheduled by the Law Society and it's using the same system, and it's starting at 2. I know we have another training that is coming up on Monday, and I've seen quite a number of questions, and and I want to thank the director and the deputy registrar because you've been responding to those questions as they do come. In the interest of time, Mr. Ikeling, Maina, we could make any of the closing remarks in terms of some of the issues which probably you think are important and you didn't cover, so that we can end this, and then we could pick up whatever we haven't done, and from the lessons that we have learned today, and take them to the next episode, which we'll be having on Monday.
Thank you, Eric. I think the most important thing is that we will prepare a much detailed documentation and tutorials so that we avail to you, so that you can share it to the entire LSK team. That includes, from the questions I've seen, the manuals will actually clarify a majority of the questions. And also from the questions we've received today, we will compile the unanswered one, so that we can also have those answers provided to you for the purpose of sharing. So we thank you all for coming and seeing what we have. We are going to start this journey together, and it will be important for us to review this every few weeks for the purpose of improving the system even much more. So thank you very much.
Honorable Tanui, do you have anything to say?
the director has summed it all. Just what we are going to do from 1st of July, and we have begun, is that we are scanning and uploading the existing files, but because of the volumes that we are dealing with, what we'll be doing is that we will be scanning the files which are on the course list from 1st of July. So that if you need to then file a document on any existing file, all of them will have been scanned and uploaded into the system. But we'll also set up a call center at the ceremonial hall so that if you have a problem come 1st of July, you will, we will avail those numbers and we will help you file your documents even as we all learn. We are all in the learning process and we need to hold each other's hand. So from 1st of July, we'll be setting up a call center, and the call center will be at where we will be scanning and uploading your documents. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable Tanui. Thank you, Barbara from IDLO.
Sorry, Mr. David.
Yes, Maina, you have something to say?
Yes, I didn't get time to look at the feedback I was presenting. So could we get this as a by email, or maybe send us this or these charts? Yeah, it could be useful. All the charts can be compiled and shared.
Yes, you will get all those charts because we would want to review them, yes. See whether either of some of the questions that have been raised there are covered in the manuals that you have. Those that do not have, if they require a manual, then we see how that manual can be prepared. And yes, if there are any tweaks or improvements that may need to be put in the system based on the questions that have been posed today, then you could also have an opportunity to look at that. So we will be providing that. And I hope that by the time we do our next session on Monday, we would be looking at those questions which have been posed today and probably have not been answered, and start by answering all those questions, and then move into the training session. The one for Monday, we want to target mostly the clerks also, because they may not have the opportunity to have this. So we will tweak the registration to allow clerks to come in and advocates also to come in. So because this one was a bit difficult, you needed to have a P105. But what we're going to do is we're going to tweak it in such a way that the clerks can be able to join, even if they don't have the P105, and the advocates can also join. And then we will look at how we are going, as a branch, we're going to look at how we are going to share the manuals which you have. This recording is, session has been recorded. We'll upload it on YouTube, and we'll upload the other videos that you may have on YouTube, so that we try and ensure that come the 1st of July, people know where they can turn to when they have a problem. I also love the fact that we have we'll be having a call center, so we will broadcast those numbers so that anyone who's having a challenge can then be able to interact with this. But I'm delighted to see that most of our members seem to think seem to love the idea. They have loved the presentation. They can't wait to start on this system, because this looks like the new efficiency that we've been looking forward to. I know that we may have members of the LSK, the Council of the LSK, the Law Society, on board. I know that we may have members of the Council for the Nairobi branch also on board, but we may not have the opportunity to recognize their participation today. But we want to thank the about 600 members who have joined us today for this presentation. We are delighted to have hosted you. We look forward to more engagements on this come Monday and going forward as we go along this process. And I think we have to show our commitment to ensuring that this process does kick off, because this is going to be something that is going to transform our practice and make it much more efficient, and hopefully we can be able to process and move our cases much faster than we are doing currently. I also want to register the the fact that the chief magistrate, the Milimani Commercial Court, was to join us, but we had a little bit of a challenge with her joining. But I think when we do our next session on Monday, probably she would be able to come in and just say something, because that is the court that has the highest traffic, and we also expect that that would probably be the court that is going to have a little bit of challenges with, and advocates are going to face a little bit of challenges working with that court, because it has the majority of traffic and cases within Nairobi. But we are sure that together with the partnership that we have, we should be able to surmount those challenges. Esther, I can see you on board. I would give you an opportunity to say something, then we close this session.
Thank you, Chair. Your Honor, Ikileng, asanteni sana. I hope that on Monday you send me the participants, the panelists' details in good time. I'll set up the link today, and it can go out to members. And of course, the advocates who are present here, kindly do inform your clerks to register for the session for Monday. It will begin at 2:30, or is it 2? Yeah, I believe it will begin at 2 and
can we
end
start it at
perhaps
2?
at 3:30 or 4. So do let them know to register and join in. Otherwise, thank you, Chair Eric, for allowing us to broadcast this to the members who are out of Nairobi, who are not members of Nairobi branch. They're very grateful, and we're getting a lot of feedback. I could see many of them in the participants. So asanteni sana. May God bless you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening and enjoy your weekend.